talked a little bit about how we, engage in relational discipleship, one of Rooted's 5 pillars during the summer months with students from a ministry perspective. But anytime that my routine gets knocked off, I find myself personally struggling in a lot of different ways, with either overwork and burden or just with lethargy from not having the normal structures and rhythms that I'm used to. What are some of the ways that you take care of yourself, bro, during the summer? When you're busy running all over the place, or when you're in a lull with seemingly more time on your hands than you know what to do with? How do you care for yourself?
Yeah. When I was in the really hectic youth ministry, I loved it, but I was always so exhausted after that. And I remember some summers coming out of that thinking like, how am I going to now prepare for the fall? And so this is something that I think was really helpful about the pandemic. Not that the pandemic was a good thing, but at least the gift that God gave us in it was it forced us to pull back on things. And now as a lot of states, a lot of communities are going back to normal, we may feel that rise to jump back in, like Kevin was saying. But something I've been, even like in my church, as we've been talking, what do we do in the summer? One of the things I've been constantly like just cautioning over is let's not feel like the demand to have to do everything again. Because something that I just found in youth ministry was like, there's always this sense of, well, I could do more, or there's more I could have done for these kids, especially because it's a short amount of time we're with them and then they're gone, and we want to make the most impact for that. But just kind of remembering that, like, in God's sovereign working through the power of his Spirit, if my efforts are not what save me in the gospel, my efforts are not what save the kids in the gospel. Now, we still put in work, we labor, like Paul says, like a good worker, like a good architect. But if we still recognize the Spirit that does that, then we don't have to work ourselves to the bone. So creating some margin, I think, is something that I did in the past, even if it meant saying no to some things or some people, which was always hard to do. I think now in this season for me, it's the exact opposite. I'm actually really trying to intentionally ask, how can I still keep youth ministry on my mind as I'm preparing for the fall? So I don't have to sprint to the fall anymore, which is nice, but I also don't want to just like put it off until August. So just, reworking on some things, retooling, doing some prep work each week, just to make sure that I still have this rhythm of youth ministry on my plate, at least, even if it's not a formal youth ministry setting.
I think that's super helpful, man. And I really appreciated not just the practical insight, but the word of gospel hope that you gave us there, that it's not our efforts ultimately which are determinative in the salvation or the sanctification of our students. Those are the finished efforts of the Lord Jesus Christ by his Spirit applied to their lives.